Welcome to Real Flix Reviews. We're like a book club for people who hate reading. This week, it's a very Tarantino Christmas continued, and we're doing Pulp Fiction. And we bring you movie news at the end of the program. This week, we have Jonathan Charney, James Stevens.
Happy Hanukkah.
And the man that loves his little box, Ryan Preston. Welcome to a very Tino Christmas, and like I said in the opening, we're doing Pulp Fiction. And Ryan, what was this movie about?
Okay, Pulp Fiction, filmed in 1994, basically is an insane story. Let's see. Well, I think the actual thing is the lives of two hitmen are
intersected by a bunch of other stories.
You're right. Yeah, basically the lives of two hitmen, a boxer, a gangster's wife, and a pair of dinner bandits intertwine in four tales of violence and redemption. That is the most vague description ever of a movie.
I gotta say, I completely forgot that Tim Roth was in this movie. It completely skipped my mind until I see the opening.
Oh, man.
Oh, God, it's Tim Roth!
Wow. He was Pumpkin. How do you forget Tim Roth?
To be honest, I have no idea. I just oh, God!
Did you know Christopher Walken was in the movie, too?
Yeah.
Okay. It's one of my favorite parts.
Actually, mine's... Well, I guess I'll start. My favorite part's actually... with the scene where he shoots Marvin in the head.
Marvin in the face.
Marvin in the face. Yeah.
Okay.
Why the fuck did you do that for?
Yeah.
I didn't mean to. You went over a bump or something.
I didn't
go over a fucking bump.
Yeah, you went over a bump. Something happened. I didn't.
I just love the red, and then you get to see Harvey Keitel in the Acura NSX, which is the first time I remember ever seeing it. It's a very quotable movie, with lines like, Royale with cheese, have you met me yet?
You gotta have an opinion.
Yeah,
English, motherfucker, did you speak it?
Yeah. It was called Fox Force 5. Who's Zed? Zed's dead, baby.
Dead.
Zed's dead.
Whose motorcycle is that? It's not a motorcycle, baby, it's a chopper.
Whose chopper is this, baby?
The funny thing about this movie, it's one of those movies where the actual lines have transcended the film. Where you hear people randomly just quote it, and you always wonder, are you old enough to have seen that movie?
Sure, yeah. 1994. I think I was 9 when this movie came out.
Yeah, so it's pretty funny. I watched it with a friend of mine who was in high school, and he's like, "Dude, this movie's awesome." It's like, oh, that's right, you're young. Never mind.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the funny thing to me about this movie is I think for most people. That are our age, or more specifically my age, because you guys are old. I think it's the first Tarantino movie that a lot of people see. Like Reservoir Dogs was such kind of a small release that Pulp Fiction seems to be the one that people see first of Tarantino, and then they gravitate back towards the Reservoir Dogs, even True Romance, that kind of stuff.
I think one of the reasons why that is the cast. This was the first cast we had big name actors basically do it for scale. I mean, he
had some big names in Reservoir Dogs, but it was such an indie release that it was crazy popular when it came out. Obviously, Reservoir Dogs, but this one was basically the one after that allowed people to be like, oh, well, let's watch this one because he's really good.
Yeah, this one, it had Bruce Willis, John Travolta. Matter of fact, this is the reason why John Travolta has a career.
Tim Roth, Chris Walken, Sam. Everybody was in this movie.
There really was a lot of people in this movie. Even Marcellus Wallace.
Ving Rhames.
Yeah, Ving Rhames.
Eric Stoltz, Rosanna Arquette, Peter Green. Anybody who is anybody, a character actor at the time, fucking went and did this movie.
I was doing a little reading, actually, about this film, and I was reading how, I don't know if this is true, but this does make sense, how this movie changed the way actors do movies. Instead of doing nothing but big releases, they'll do one huge movie, they'll do an indie film, maybe another big movie. It gives them a little leeway career-wise to be able to do movies that they're interested in, just not ones that provide a big paycheck.
Well, I think it gave people a lot of faith in some indie filmmakers, like thinking that, okay, this is where some of these great stories are really coming from. Exactly. There's this formula that Hollywood likes to follow as far as, plug in emotional moment here, swell score here. And with movies like this, you get people who have like Hollywood gets to have a little faith in these indie directors from like their first movie, albeit Reservoir Dogs for Tarantino, and then they sort of let them do what they want on the next movie to see how it goes. Give them a little bit bigger of a budget. I think the budget on this one was something like $8 million.
Yeah, it was like 8.8.
Yeah,
I was reading.
Cheap.
Yeah, okay.
Pretty cheap still for back then.
But the funniest thing is, I was reading, it was actually shopped around. I think it was Warner Brothers or one of the companies. They took the film, and then I guess they said it was utter crap, rejected it. Then he went to Miramax, that apparently was just bought by Disney at the time.
Right.
And it was Miramax's first, apparently completely. They paid for the whole thing, basically. Big budget at 8.8.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Do you live in a disco? I mean,
Yeah.
The thing I think is interesting about this is it borrows from a different styles and techniques to tell the story. I mean, it's the most noticeable is the non-linear and semi-noir, neo-noir. I guess you can argue on which is which.
Neo-noir sounds about right.
The other thing I think is different is it has a lot of subtleties and the personalities and the characters.
Yeah.
Each character is individual. Each one has its own quirk, and that quirk leads them to bad choices.
Right.
I think most noticeably is Mia and Vinny.
Right. Yeah, his little heroin quirk has got him into some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And leaving that Mac 10 on the the counter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bad idea.
I still
You're waiting in somebody's house to kill somebody, and you go and read a book to take a shit.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna go take a piss, fine. But I mean, you're gonna go in there with a book or a newspaper. Take your gun with you.
I would say Hitman 101. Always have the gun on you, especially one that size. It's not like the guy's gonna miss it.
Well, the other thing is, I mean, I always loved Bruce Willis's like change of his decorum right there at that moment, because I mean, he stops. He knows he's got hitmen chasing him.
Yeah.
And he stops to make himself a Pop-Tart.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, he goes back for a watch that he didn't want to go back for, and I love the story of the watch.
Yeah. That's one of my. I think that might be my favorite scene.
And then he died of dysentery, but never mind.
You're going to have to watch the movie if you haven't seen it yet to get the story. I just love the fact that you have no idea what he went through for me. Give me this watch.
I know. Then he talks about how it was up his dad's ass.
Well, here goes the story.
And his ass.
Yeah.
Through a POW camp in a swamp in Vietnam.
Yeah.
So apparently a human's ass can be watertight.
Yeah, and then his dad dies of dysentery. I remember the first time I heard that line after that storytelling. I busted up laughing so hard. It was so wrong to tell. I mean, how old was he supposed to be at that moment? 8?
Oh shoot! Yeah, 7 or 8.
Yeah. So that's the end of my the things I wrote down. What about you, James?
I agree with you completely that, I mean, this is the most quoted movie that I can think of.
And the most dance, because you still see people do the whole eye thing.
Oh yeah, the dancing, the music, the storytelling.
Like 20 years later, people are still doing it.
Yeah, this movie has been tried to be copied by multiple different directors trying to do the stylized of multiple stories of intertwining and everything, and I've never seen a movie do it better than Pulp Fiction.
I have heard, because I'll be honest, I haven't seen the movie Memento. The closest thing I've heard, far as story-wise and the non-linear format, I've heard Memento is compared a lot.
Yeah, I could see Memento like that, but I mean, like, what was the movie that came out a while ago? The Crash?
Oh,
yeah. Well, then stuff like Magnolia, or these
I
things where there are 4 different things going on at once, but nobody's ever done it in that kind of chop it up, put stuff before, stuff after. You watch John Travolta get shot, and then 2 scenes later, that's I think he's back with Mia Wallace.
Yeah, I mean this movie, like, I mean, I find myself quoting this movie more than any other movie. I mean, like, oh, you mean that what now?
Yeah.
There's that one that I find myself doing, Zed's Dead.
Yeah.
I like that one. And then there's so many of them, like the race car in the red. I'm a race car in the red, Jules.
You got me in the red.
Yeah.
I
am Dynamite
race car in the
TNT.
red.
And now, also another point is, I mean, this is where I look at Samuel Jackson, and this is where I look at him, and I'm like, that is when he was the man, Sam L.
See, everybody knows Sam Jackson for these kind of bizarre, slightly, crazy, weird roles. Snakes on a Plane, Unbreakable, these...
Because he does it so well.
How?
Right, but this is, like, if anybody's ever seen a shitty Sam Jackson movie, which I'm sure we've all have, Black Snake Bone...
They can't be as bad as any Denzel movie ever made.
Yeah.
Well, no, but my point is his Pulp Fiction, this is the reason why he got to have the name that he has.
Oh, of course.
You know, I mean, because he did so well. Everybody's basically been waiting, like, okay, we'll give you 30 movies to be able to do that again.
Yeah.
I think he's at 22.
I mean, that's what everybody's trying to get him to do is this role, but nobody's done it as well as Quentin Tarantino.
Right.
And I mean, he's got a lot of great quotes in there, and I have never seen him cuss more in any other movie than this one.
But he's the only person who can cuss, and it just seems right.
Yeah, that is very much
absolutely.
true.
It's the way it's written going, that's profound.
And then, but the biggest issue I have with Samuel Jackson's role is I don't know what version of Ezekiel 25:17 that he memorized. It must be either the Message or the multi-expanded version.
I think he was paraphrasing.
It was modified. I was reading something about that today.
No, hold on. This is the quote from the movie: "Is the path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who, in the name of charity and goodwill, shepherds the weak through the valley of the darkness, for he is truly his brother's keeper, and the finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know I am the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon you."
Thee.
Well, he says in this moment, you. This is the one where he's talking to Tim Roth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I just look at this one up, and it is not even close. It's like 2 sentences.
Right.
They expect. I read somewhere where it was based off something other than the Bible.
It's got to be. It's got to come out of a movie or some other thing. I don't know where he got it from. But I actually do like the one that Samuel Jackson quotes. It's a very interesting one.
Sorry.
Anyways, that's like pretty much the biggest thing about that movie that I don't like. And I don't know where they dug up the chick who plays Honey Bunny.
Amanda Plummer?
Yeah, I know. I've seen her in a few other movies. But she plays such a good crack whore in that movie. Doesn't she?
She does.
I mean, come on.
Honey, calm down. Calm down.
I mean, she plays such a great role in that. And I mean, Tim Roth and Amanda Plummer's scenes are the ones that I don't like the most.
Oh,
and then, hold on.
Time.
Secondly, the other story that I'm not a big fan of is the Mia Wallace and Vincent scenes.
So you like?
I'm not a big fan of them.
I'll still, if I'm in a good mood, just start doing the twist.
But the ones I do like most of the music from their scenes. Was a teenage wedding and the old folks wished them well. That's a great song.
Yeah.
And then, but the ones that I like the most, the scenes that the storytelling that I like the best, is the one between Jules and Vincent. And I like all the scenes with Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
So those are some great.
You like?
But, I mean, you have these.
I like seeing him go I like seeing him go Kill Bill. That was cool.
By the way, I was.
I like how he goes through the baseball bat. No, wait, chainsaw.
Oh, Ooh, is that a sword?
Yeah.
I actually paused that scene. I was really hoping it would be cool to see the Hattori Hanzo
I know
logo.
it's not.
It's
there.
not. But I was like,
It's
that would be so awesome.
Wouldn't it be? And then I remember some people that were all of a sudden like, oh my gosh, Vincent was reading The Blood Splattered Bride in the bathroom. No, he wasn't.
Yeah, no, he wasn't.
Anyway, so I mean, all in all, this movie is great. The directing in there, it's great to see Harvey Keitel's character, and even I like Quentin Tarantino's section in there. You know, about the coffee.
Oh, it was, that's probably my favorite scene in that whole freaking movie. It was so damn funny.
And it's so Quentin.
Yeah,
you're right. I mean, which is I think why he put himself in that role is just like that's who he rewrote it for.
Yeah.
I will say that the one thing that was funny is the briefcase.
Oh,
I was reading.
I know what's in the briefcase.
Well,
I think everybody at this point does, don't they?
Well, the funniest thing
it's a Royale with cheese.
No, it's not.
Well, here's the thing. As far as I know, he's never said it. I actually looked it up, and he said the briefcase itself, his quote is, "It's a pure MacGuffin. It's nothing. It's just a device to move the story."
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Which I thought was hilarious, because there's websites dedicated to, okay, it's this because of that. It's just like,
right. Well, I think what's the most popular one I think is Marcellus Wallace's Soul.
Yeah. Yeah. That is actually the most popular theory.
And you know what that's based on? It's based on the Band-Aid on the back of his neck when you first see him.
Wow, that's a reach.
Yeah.
That's reach, dude.
Wow. So what about you, Ryan, since we're making you defend this movie?
Oh, defend nothing, dude. This is one of my favorites of all time. Like to me, like you can't get any better of just this kind of bizarre storytelling. I mean, look, I'd never seen a movie like this when I saw it. I mean, it was so unlike anything that's ever been shown to me. Is you didn't even know movies could be done like this. I mean, like, look, we just spent the last 20 minutes just quoting the movie. That's
pretty much.
And say, oh, I loved Harvey Keitel, or Amanda Plummer was great in that, and
I don't remember saying that.
There's everything about this movie is
quoting you
so much ass. The soundtrack rules. I mean, name me one person that didn't have at least a half a dozen songs of the soundtrack. I mean, still currently on their iPod because of this movie.
Got like 4.
That's one of the reasons I like Tarantino movie is he uses pre-made songs in ways I doubt the original creator of the songs intended to use.
Right, yeah, and
like the surf music,
right.
Which was still like,
oh man, the scene when Honey Bunny just gets up and any of you motherfuckers move, I swear to God, I'll blow away every last one of you motherfuckers. Then I think that's the Ventures song kicks in.
It's a very odd choice, that was, musically the scenes are hilarious when you hear these lovey-dovey songs, move, motherfuckers, like, whoa.
Yeah. But I don't think there's one part of this movie that I don't sit there and watch and then like, oh, this scene's coming up, or oh, this scene's coming up, or I ran out of balloons, is a baggie okay? And do you mind if I shoot up? I can't wait to see these scenes again. I mean, I think it's one of those, if I'm just in a kind of a crappy mood or if I'm sick, I'll throw this movie on.
So here's the question. What's your rating?
Oh, man. Shit, dude, it has to be a 5. I mean, because, again, being the first one taken into account that, like this is... like filmed in '94 and still holds up in a way that most movies that hold up don't give you that kind of like, oh, this is a great movie, or oh, this movie doesn't turn into a piece of shit 15 years later. This one is like you haven't seen this movie, we're going to watch this right now kind of feeling when you hear somebody hasn't seen it, and it still holds the same water for me. Again, the definition of above and beyond. I think this is just, part of Tarantino's wheelhouse where he just knows how to make this kind of...
non-linear, violent, semi-noir...
I mean, look, forget the non-linear part. Just the story itself. Take the stories, and put them all in line, and it's still a freaking insanely awesome movie. The scenes are done so well, and I think it has a lot to do with obviously the writing is so natural that the actors and whatnot. I don't know. He has a way of writing for these people that obviously what we've come to realize or expect from Tarantino is an incredible dialogue, and then the performances given by him. and even the little parts that you catch, like as far as like, oh, this is being filmed in a movie. The one example I can give is the when Butch just killed the guy in the ring, and
hops in the
and he hops in the cab, and he's riding around with was it Esmeralda?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a 1950s background.
The great 1950s background, but the part that always bugged me, but I've come to really love, is when he lights his cigarette and the smoke just travels up and out the window, not being taken by any air by like the car driving. The car is obviously sitting still.
Like the stationary light that never moves in the rear corner glass.
Yeah.
Well, it's the scene is so good that I almost like that part. I almost like watching the smoke just kind of hang there outside the window.
So what about you, James?
I agree with Ryan in the fact that Quentin Tarantino, you can tell he is a fan of movies.
Oh, hardcore.
I mean, he even admits, if you listen to him talk about where he came from before, is he worked at a movie store.
Right.
That was his thing, is he started working at a movie store, wrote Reservoir Dogs on like a napkin and a piece of paper and scraps, put it all together, made the movie, and then he got out of that and turned into making movies. So he is a big fan of movies, and you can tell that by a lot of his early movies, Pulp Fiction being one of them. I give this movie only a 4, but a very, very high 4, because I still am reserving my 5s for really, really exceptional. And I think that this movie, and I've already mentioned it, there's a couple scenes that I'm not a big fan of, and it's not because of lack of a story or a lack of acting. They just kind of, I don't know, just rub me a little bit of the wrong way. I want to see her get her head blown off type thing. I'm not kidding. I wanted Jules to come out of the bathroom after taking another shit. Because that's what it seems like he did throughout this whole movie.
I'll be right back. I'm reading a novel.
Yeah.
For the viewers out there, have no fear. We're going to take him back to the mental institution after we're done filming this.
That's cute. Anyway,
Go ahead,
some
wheel him
things
around.
that I think this movie stands up. It holds up quite a bit, but I reserve my 5s for really, really extremely rare.
See, I was going back and forth on the same thing, and I'm sitting there, man. I gotta make this I gotta make my 5 stars exclusive, like an exclusive thing. But then I'm sitting there like, wait a second, I'm saving them for shit exactly like this, and I hate
understand.
to do it 2 weeks in a row because we just did Inglourious Bastards, and now I'm giving this a 5 too, and everybody's gonna think that I'm fucking 5-star happy, but. We just happen to do 2 of my favorite movies of all time in a row, so
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I understand, but
And to go on your point, as far as he's a movie fan, there's been a few people that you obviously love movies. I was going to bring up Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks is obviously a movie fan, but then people like that, they do their favorite movies as spoofs. Tarantino said, I like these types of movies. I like kung fu movies, or I like gangster movies. And he says, I'm just going to do it better.
yeah.
And he
Like, I'm not
takes
going
it.
to do a spoof. I'm not going to make fun of it. I'm just going to do a fucking better movie than you people.
Well, he takes it, cuts it, moves it, changes it enough so you can see where the original source material was, but
Right.
enough to say this is his.
Yeah.
And you could tell the nods that he's giving to old movies, the respect that he has for the style of film that he enjoys. Especially for stuff like fiction
Well,
I agree with you a lot in that, but I just say that for me, this is one of Quentin Tarantino's better movies, but for me, it's not 5 source material; it's a 4, because I don't think all the movies he's ever done is a 5. But I mean, of course, Jackie Brown is like, I mean, if I was going to rate it right now, it'd be a 2.
Probably.
That's high praise.
No, it's just one I reserve for really, really bad.
Right, yeah.
So, for me, it's better than a 3, but I say that, I mean, the 5 has to be that there's no point in that movie where I zone out. And in Pulp Fiction, there are parts where I zone out a little bit. Like the scene where she's overdosing.
What part of that scene are you shit the
like,
whole
So the problem is
I don't care if she dies.
shot scene? Holy crap, get my fucking medical book, the little blue fucking medical book. That,
It's
oh man.
black.
Him freaking out on his girlfriend.
No, I just kind of like, nah, she could die. I don't care.
Here's was my kind of dilemma in the rating to give, because I like the movie, and I'm gonna have to agree with James. I'm gonna have to get it a 4 to 5. I love the movie, but this isn't quite. Oh my god! To me, it's not. It's not to level of oh my god, like everything was illuminated was to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean look. I understand where you guys are coming from on it. Don't get me wrong. I think I just have somewhat of a soft spot for this one.
You do.
You know.
I agree. And
too bad it's between your ears.
And we're gonna get a couple movies of his. I mean, we're gonna. I know we're doing one of the movies that I have a soft spot for probably next week. So it's probably gonna be your pick right now.
So I love this movie, but it's not quite there for me. But it's still a great movie. It deserves a 4 just on the writing alone.
Yeah.
On the way it was written, the actors, everything about it. Maybe mine is more of a just my personal taste versus what it probably actually deserves.
Okay.
But that's my opinion. So we're gonna get in the movie news a little bit, and the first one is how The Hobbit, which is being released, I guess, on the 15th, which is this coming week, if I'm not mistaken, or next week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Friday I think
Friday.
is the actual release. Midnight showing Thursday night.
Midnight.
It was made in 48 frames per second, and the way it was described to me, in the 30 frames or 24 frames a second, in order to make it not look shuddery. You know, it's actually each segment is shown twice. So your eyes, so you don't see the blocking movement. According to everything I've read, 48 frames a minute actually has all the extra information, so they don't show every frame twice. And this was, as far as I know, one of the first few films, I could be wrong, that is actually filmed with the Red camera.
Well, the Red's actually started to get really popular. I think there's been a handful. I know District 9 was filmed with a Red. It's basically become sort of the like everybody, you used to have to rent the big giant, studio movie cameras, but then these little miniature Reds that are only probably about yay big, the actual box itself.
Yeah.
There's all the attachments and everything that go with it, but the base price for these things is like $15,000. Just the camera, and then you probably $50,000 altogether if you get all the accessories, all the lenses, and everything. But still, $50,000 for a camera is not $150,000, which you'd probably be spending if you rented it from a studio. And it shoots in amazing high HD quality.
It's a 4K camera, which is 4,000 lines of revolution, if I'm not mistaken. And it's also it was made by the guy who owns Oakley. This guy's an optic nut.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard nothing bad about the camera. I've actually talked to at least a guy who owns one of the first generation, and says it's an insane camera.
Well, I mean, to the point where even big movie studios are saying, "Oh, film it on the Red."
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, they're almost the old school giant cameras are just antiquated now.
Well, this actually is kind of a segment, but Tarantino hates digital film projecting.
I'm not surprised. I think all three of us are probably still a fan of the look of film.
Well, yeah, his comment, I actually saw a segment of a discussion, says it's like TV in public. He says he didn't sign up for that. He says he'll quit directing if that's the case, because he still films in 35 millimeter, hardcore, old school, loves film for film, not just because it's the newest technology.
Well, and I mean, a lot of these movies play towards film, and look better with film. And I think J.J. Abrams is another one of these guys that's a really big fan of film itself. But and it's a lost art, dude. I mean, it really is. I mean, the amount of history with Hollywood and the film production, industry and everything, it's something that's going away, and it's something that kind of bums a lot of people out around here. But stuff like The Hobbit, it almost needs the digital.
Well, the coolest thing about The Hobbit, I mean, I generally hate 3D because I don't see it as well. I'm going to see it, but it's also a limited release. There's actually, if you go to the Hobbit website, somewhere it explains what theaters in your local areas and what state are actually showing it.
Mm-hmm.
There's one near me that I'm actually going to go to the drive to see it just because it's 48 frames per second. I've never seen a movie in it. I'll pay the $20, $30, whatever, just to see something and a technique and a style I've never seen.
Yeah.
The other one, there's two real quick ones, is Fantastic Four. Finally has a release date, and it's a completely new. It's a reboot. It's allegedly supposed to release on March 6, 2015. There's no information that I found. It's a complete new reboot. And the other one is Kevin Smith's final film, he said, is going to be Clerks 3.
Yeah, I know.
I already thought he said his final film was going to be Hit Somebody.
I just saw this today, and he said he's going to make it Clerks 3.
Huh.
Which kind of fits. He began his career with Clerks 1. He'll end it with 3. It kind of.
I mean.
Well, because he's talked about Hit Somebody as being his thesis film, because he's moved obviously onto the whole podcasting network with Smodcast and everything, and I mean he's going gangbusters on that shit.
Yeah.
And he's pretty much burned all of his bridges with Hollywood and whatnot. Even though he did Red State, which is an awesome movie.
I did like that.
Completely independent, and took it out on tour and everything. Obviously, the Clerks name is going to sell, but I'm surprised that he's doing it.
I didn't like Clerks 2, so.
Well, the only thing I liked about Clerks 2 was Porch Monkey.
Oh, come on, fucking guys. I love that movie. That was awesome.
I'm bringing Porch Monkey back.
Racist. What about, you said you had some movie news, Ryan.
It's an endearing term.
Well, I was just going to bring up some more of the JLA recent developments, because that's what my nerdy ass is looking forward to.
So should we start playing the Dirge now?
Guillermo del Toro has signed on to do JLA.
Really?
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude.
Yeah. And
this is like Josh Whedon.
He's signed on to do a couple of movies, I think, before with Marvel that are a little more. I can't remember the name of the movie that he's actually going to be doing. I'll see if I can look it up right now. But it's going to be starring like Swamp Thing, like he's doing like that kind of ancillary character sort of movies.
I was really hoping
with
they
Marvel.
were to do. I really wanted Doctor Strange.
Me too.
I've been pining for a Doctor Strange movie for a decade.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. But then they're going to be doing what's it called? Aquaman is going to be done, I think, 2013.
Look, I talked to fish.
He's actually Guillermo del Toro is actually going to be doing an Incredible Hulk TV series. He's the one that's going to be executive.
Yeah, I know. Remember I mentioned that in movie news like 2 months ago?
I have a question. Do you know anything about Aquaman? What version are they going to do? Because over the years, from what I've seen in comics and television shows, there's the very nerdy, extremely lame, I talk to fish, save the oceans, to the one-handed, hook-handed, crazy Aquaman. Which version?
I think, well, if they're gonna be even thinking about doing it in the first place, the scope of it has to be huge, because it's the only reason anybody would want to fucking see an Aquaman movie, for Christ's sake.
I mean, but Del Toro's doing it, so I mean, it's going to be the dark.
I don't know if Del Toro's doing the Aquaman movie. I think there's somebody else signed on to do that, and there's somebody else signed on that's already in production for Wonder Woman. They're not going to redo Green Lantern. They're going to use probably Ryan Reynolds. Because, look, I mean, let's be honest. He wasn't exactly what was wrong with that movie. He was all right.
I have a question.
It was everything else that was wrong with that movie.
Josh Whedon, he did The Avengers. Did he direct the other movies as well?
No. So. Joss Whedon only did The Avengers, and I think right before that he did, like, Cabin in the Woods. No, he had really nothing to do with the
that's right.
the lead-up movies.
But he had to be involved somehow, right? In order to get it to fit his version of Avengers?
Not at all.
I mean, he of course, I'm sure he watched them.
Just took the characters and wrote an amazing story for it. But I think they've started pre-production for a Flash movie, which will be
Flash.
Cool.
So are they gonna have Captain? Are they gonna have the Captain Kangaroo or the Captain Boomerang and Mr.
I don't know. I
Freeze
wonder if
and
they're
the
gonna have a lot
Bear
of phallic symbols in it.
Oh.
And Queen in the background.
You're fired. You're so fired.
But basically, the reason I wanted to bring this up, though, isn't just because, hey, JLA, it's just that I've never in the history of me watching movies seen a movie studio say, okay, this is what we're doing for the next 5-6 years.
And it's a huge financial bet.
They basically said, okay, this is the next $5 billion that we're going to spend is making these movies.
See, this is I really can't wait because it's either going to be the next Avengers, like Hitchcock level big movie, to it's the new Uwe Boll movie. I mean, it's between those two. There's no middle ground.
Or Unbreakable.
I think that's the reason that they got Guillermo del Toro, because he's done Hellboy and Pan's Labyrinth, and his visual style is definitely in line with the darker qualities of the DC universe. Yeah, I mean, I think it all is going to be coming down to who writes it, what villains they're going to have.
Hopefully they bring out
which storyline they're going to go with, because obviously there's a million directions they can go with JLA as far as all the iterations that have been done. But basically the first Batman, the reboot, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is going to be playing Bruce Wayne.
Oh, so they're going to continue off of that.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be anything to do with the end of Dark Knight Rises. It has nothing to do with him, joining the
Batman team.
I'm going to see him as Boy Wonder.
He's actually going to be playing Bruce Wayne as the new Batman, and that's obviously going to be, well, Man of Steel is the first tie-in towards JLA, and then the Batman reboot, and then Flash, Wonder Woman, and then Aquaman, and then JLA. So that's basically the next 5 years of the DC world.
So what about you, James?
We just were talking about J.J. Abrams.
Mm-hmm.
So he's also releasing Star Trek Into Darkness.
It's coming out soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
May 17th in 2013. The interesting thing on IMDb is that we got a Benedict Cumberbatch is supposedly going to be playing Khan.
Oh, shit.
It's rumored.
Yeah,
it's rumored.
It's been rumored, and he himself has said no, but you don't know if it's a non-denial type of thing, or...
but that's the rumor thing, is that he's going to be playing Khan.
I've become a big fan of Benedict Cumberbatch last year or two.
I have too. So it's going to be an interesting one, especially since they've got rumors still swarming about.
Yeah.
And he...
Well, you said May of 13?
Yeah.
That's pretty quick. That's like 5 months.
I can't
But
wait.
they've already released trailers for it, so I mean, there's got to be a lot of stuff in post-production.
Well, they won't give you anything. What they'll do is they'll give you scenes of the crew, something happened. They're not going to show...
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, they have things in post-production that is being worked on, edited, blah, blah, blah.
My favorite thing about it is on was it Conan O'Brien? Or at the show after Jay Leno.
Why are you
he showed
about Conan?
Nobody
Nobody likes Conan.
Well, he's actually...
Stop talking about Conan.
Hey,
stoners like Conan. Leave it alone.
Shut up.
Yeah, well, eating their nasty Hot Pockets. But
dipped in Captain Crunch.
He actually...
Wow. Somebody smoked pot.
Okay, to get kind of back on track. He showed 2 frames, and it was all over the internet going, J.J. Abrams talks about Star Trek. 2 frames out of the entire movie had the whole interwebs tingling because J.J. Abrams showed 2 frames that didn't show much of anything.
Yeah.
It was pretty amusing. Because even I'm like, damn. So I have to admit, I'm looking forward to it. So any other movie news?
No, I'm good.
Ryan? Wow, delayed laughter.
I know, I'm like, what the hell?
So any other movie news?
I was laughing at James not having movie news.
Oh, no, he did. Kind of. So, ladies and gentlemen, next week is my pick, and we're going to do Reservoir Dogs.
As we all expected.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious. We're kind of doing it in a backward order, but I
mean, it's like either Reservoir Dogs, Jackie Brown, or Dusk Till Dawn.
Bills.
Well, the Kill Bills, but I mean, yeah, you can't just do one.
I don't
You'd
want
have
to
do
sit,
both.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit through 2 ever again. So next week is Reservoir
It
Dogs.
wasn't that bad.
It really wasn't bad at all.
I know.
Well, it was better than Jackie Brown.
Oh, I mean, wow.
Sorry, couldn't help myself.
Sorry,
You're right,
Quentin,
it's-
but
it's-
Jackie Brown sucked.
I'm just not comparable to me. The two movies.
Well, I'll agree. It's not as bad as that. I'm a bigger fan of the first one than I'm a second one. I want to see. This is a non sequitur. I want to see a cut where them both intertwined.
Yeah,
That's
the
what I
bloody
want to
affair.
see. I don't know if I'll ever do it, but that's what I want to see. So, ladies and gentlemen, I gave Pulp Fiction a 4. James gave it a 4. Ryan gave it a 5, which, is expected.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, for Jonathan Charney, James Stevens, and Ryan Blacklove Preston, we'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
They will support you. They will do referrals between clients. You can't ask for a more complete marketing package.
We love the windfall!
And you can too. Think advertising with the Windfall couldn't get any better? Well, it just did. For only $125 for a 30-second commercial filmed by Old Guy Tech TV, you can be seen and heard.